work out problem number 2 from Chapter 7, Section G1, Practice Exercises. All right, number 2 here. The premise I'm given is just one premise. It says E or not F. And the conclusion I'm given, this little line here, this slash, tells me that this is the separation between the premises and the conclusion. We'll see that for the rest of the semester. The conclusion here is if F, then not E. Right? If F, then not E. So I need my truth table. I only have two simple statements, E and F. So I just need 4 rows. True, true, right? False, false, true, false, true, false. Then I have my premise. If E or not F. My E here is kind of bound up with my line, so you can hardly see the bottom of it, but E or not F. And then my conclusion, if F, then not E. Right? So I'll fill this in. This is true, true, false, false. Here, true, true, false, false. And then the F is true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. Okay, again, disjunction or tilde, go with tilde. So it should be the opposite of what I see for F. So I see T, I put F, F, I put T, F, and then T. Okay. Disjunction, I'm comparing the truth values I see for E and those I see for the tilde. If I see that either one is true, then I put a true. Right? If I see that both are false, I put a false. So I see a true there, so true, true, both are false, so false, and here the tilde is true, so true. That's my main operator for the premise. Okay, now I'll go over here, a choice between a tilde and a horseshoe. I go with tilde. Fine. The rule we've been using so far, and we'll always use. So again, this is the negation of the E, so it should be F, F, T, T. It's the opposite of that. And now I just do the horseshoe. Again, hopefully by this point it's familiar, but the general rule is, if not general, the rule is if you see that the antecedent is false, as it is here, then it's going to be true. Same thing here. If the antecedent, however, is true, then you have to look and see what the value of the consequent is. That's the value under the tilde here. If it's true and the consequent is false, then false. If it's true and the consequent is true, then true. Okay? That's the main operator there. And now for validity, I just compare, do I ever see a row where the premise, or in this case just the one premise, is true and the conclusion is false? Here I see a true premise and a false conclusion, so invalid. Right? I just go ahead and complete it. If you want to see, here the premise is true and the conclusion is true, that tells me nothing. Again, that does not mean that it's valid. It just means that at least sometimes the premise and the conclusion are both true. Here I see that the premise is false while the conclusion is true. That also tells me nothing. And here I see the premise is true and the conclusion is true. Again, that just tells me that sometimes the premise can be true and the conclusion can be true as well, but doesn't tell me it's valid. Valid means if the premise or premises are true, the conclusion must be true. So merely seeing that it sometimes is doesn't help. Here I see, yeah, there's a time when the premise is true and the conclusion is false, so I know it's invalid. Okay? I'm going to move on now to the second set of exercises for this section.